You ever wake up, step outside, and realize you're living in a sitcom, except no one's laughing except maybe the cows? Let me paint you a picture. One Saturday morning, I grab my coffee, stroll out to feed the herd like any other day, and bam, there's a full-blown wedding in my pasture. Tents, champagne towers, a string quartet under my old oaks, and right at the center of this disaster, none other than Karen Whitmore, queen of the local HOA, barking orders like she's auditioning for the Real Housewives of Maplewood Heights. I mean, for a second, I thought I'd sleepwalked into an episode of Candid Camera. So, I ask her, Karen, what in God's name are y'all doing? She turns, sips her latte, smirks, and tells me, relax. It's community property now. Community property on the farmland my family's worked for 3 generations. That's when it hit me. This woman wasn't just rude. She was officially declaring war. And if Karen thought she could hijack my land for her daughter's Pinterest wedding, she was about to learn what happens when you trespass on a farmer's patience. Now, before I get to the part where I turn that fairy tale into a cautionary tale, let me back up. I'm Daniel White, born and raised right here. 200 acres of rolling Nebraska pasture, red barn built by my granddad in '48, every fence mended by these 2 hands. My life's been measured in sunrises, the sound of tractors, and the soft snort of cows at dawn. For most of my years, my only neighbors were half a mile off. Quiet folks, nobody cared how loud your rooster crowed or how you stacked your hay. That all changed about 5 years ago. County split off the north lot, sold it to developers, and next thing you know, Maplewood Heights pops up. A fancy new HOA. Rows of shiny houses full of folks playing country life, as long as it didn't smell like, well, the actual country. I tried to be neighborly, I really did. Waved from a mailbox. Offered eggs and honey when they came by to admire the view. But most of them were city people playing dress-up. Wanted the illusion of the farm, just without any of the inconvenience of, farmers. And towering above all of them, there was Karen Whitmore, president of the HOA. If entitlement had a face, it'd be hers. Sharp sunglasses, pristine white SUV, and a voice that could curdle fresh milk. First time we met, she rolled up to my fence and goes, "Are you aware your cows are visible from our cul-de-sac? Some residents find that unpleasant." I thought she was kidding. I laughed. She didn't. That was the start of Karen's campaign. Complaints about the smell, the sunrise crowing, the unsightly red barn, even the way I stacked hay. One letter on HOA stationery demanded I limit community odor. I framed it in the barn, made a good laugh for the hired hands. But see, Karen wasn't just annoying. She got her kicks from controlling people. She ran those HOA meetings like a tin pot dictator. Mandated lawn heights, mailbox color, even what flowers were aesthetically consistent. And while a few neighbors whispered that she was impossible, no one dared cross her. She was the kind of woman who, if given an inch of power, would try to annex your mailbox and bill you for the privilege. Officially, my property wasn't in the HOA. That didn't stop her from trying. She'd drop courtesy notices in my mailbox, print them all nice and official, demanding I keep my cows within acceptable limits of community enjoyment. The gall. I shrugged it off until a couple weeks before the wedding fiasco. I started noticing orange survey flags popping up along my north field. Neon little stakes like a rash on my pasture. I figured maybe the county was doing road work, so I wandered over. 2 guys with clipboards were measuring. Said they were from the Maplewood Heights Event Committee, checking the land for a community celebration. I set them straight. This field belongs to me, not your HOA. They packed up faster than a cat in a dog park. Next time I see Karen, she's all smiles. "We're planning a celebration," she says. "My daughter's wedding. Rustic charm. Hay bales. Fields. I'm sure you won't mind." I told her, politely but firmly, I don't rent out my land. Never have, never will. Instantly, the smile dropped. "You're not being very neighborly, Daniel," she snapped, and marched off mumbling about greedy farmers. Fast forward to that infamous Saturday. I wake to the sound of generators, music drifting through the window. At first, I thought one of the new neighbors was having a party. I step outside. What do I see? My hayfields crawling with workers, massive tents, lights strung from poles, tables with white linens, a flower arch smack in the middle of the field where my tractor usually rumbles through. I jumped on my ATV, roared down, and the closer I got, the more I realized this wasn't a barbecue. This was an invasion. Some guy in a polo shirt, clipboard in hand, waves me over. "You're the supplier, right? Hey, bales go near the arch." I slammed on the brakes. "I'm the owner, and you're trespassing." He blanched, mumbling something about full HOA permission. And just then, Karen appears, sunglasses, latte, and all the confidence of a woman who's never heard no in her life. "Isn't this just wonderful?" she croons. "A perfect use of all this empty space." I ask, "What part of private property don't you understand?" She goes, "It's community property now. We even mowed it for you." I stared at her, jaw tight. "Get off my land." She laughed, actually laughed, and told the workers to ignore him. He's bluffing. Something inside me shifted. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just pulled out my phone and started recording every single word. Right then, I knew this wasn't going to end with words. That night, I called the county, had them confirm, in black and white, that every inch was mine. Then I sat on the porch, coffee in hand, watching the tents glow in the field, the cows pacing at the edges, nervous and confused. They thought I'd roll over. They thought I'd be the quiet farmer who wouldn't fight back. But see, the thing about farmers, real farmers, is that we're patient, not passive. And when we strike back, we make it count. If Karen wanted rustic, I'd give her rustic. Fresh, authentic, straight from the source rustic. Friday night, I prepped the manure spreader, the big John Deere, the kind of tool you don't pull out unless you mean business. I loaded it up with the freshest, ripest manure daisy the cow could provide. I even got my old dog Ranger to sit by, as if he could sense the revenge brewing. Saturday dawned bright and warm. The wedding crowd rolled in, luxury cars, pastel dresses, high heels sinking into soft mud. The whole Maplewood Heights crowd tottered across my field, wincing at the country smell they'd soon learn to fear. Karen orchestrated the whole thing like a general, walkie-talkie in hand. Didn't even look my way. Guess I was just part of the landscape. The orchestra started, the cows mooed in protest. Then I noticed someone had moved my fence posts. 20 feet gone, for a better view of the ceremony. That was it. I set up a camera in the upstairs window, filmed everything, guests, vows, the works. The bride, beautiful but stiff. The groom, fidgety, probably wondering why it smelled like cows and gasoline. Midway through, my friend Don, the county sheriff, pulled up. He walked up to my porch, coffee mug in hand. "Karen's filed a complaint. Says you're harassing her event." I told him, "I'm standing on my land. She's the trespasser." He grinned. "Check the parcel map. You're clean as a whistle." He gave me that look, half warning, half don't do anything stupid. I just smiled. By now, the plan was already set in motion. Sunset fell, but the party kept raging. Kids ran wild. A portable bar served cocktails next to my tractor shed, and some idiot flicked a champagne cork that hit Max the bull. That cow kicked up dirt, divine justice in slow motion. Karen climbed up on stage, grabbed a microphone, and gave a speech. "I'm so proud we turned this old farmland into something truly special." Old farmland? My farmland. Still is. As the crowd thinned for the night, I walked out to the barn. Ranger thumped his tail. I topped off the manure spreader, thick, warm, stinking to high heaven. By midnight, everything was ready. The tractor faced the wedding site, a green monster waiting for sunrise. "Tomorrow, Karen," I whispered, "you'll finally smell what you've been ignoring." The next morning, before the fog even burned off, I was up and at it. Pulled on old jeans, flannel shirt, poured black coffee. From the porch, the tents gleamed in the dawn. Ranger trotted at my side as I climbed into the John Deere. Engine roared to life. The spreader rattled, fully loaded and ready. I drove down the path, tires crunching, birds scattering, cows watching like fans at a parade. At the edge of the field, I stopped. Rows of white chairs, buffet tables, flowers, picture perfect. Almost felt bad. Almost. Then I remembered Karen's smirk. I gripped the lever, muttered, "Let's make it pretty." and started rolling. The manure sprayed. Thick arcs of poetic justice. Over the chairs, the arch, the buffet, the dance floor. The smell hit like a wall. Pungent, honest, impossible to ignore. I made slow, careful loops, every pass a little salt in the wound. Ranger barked approval. By the time I was done, it looked like a brown tornado had hit. Chairs half buried, tablecloths soaked, flower petals lost in the mess. I parked the tractor, hung a hand-painted sign beneath there, "Welcome to the Whitmore wedding sign. Private property. Trespassers get fertilized." Took photos, wide, close, panoramic. My lawyer would appreciate the documentation. Not long after, the vendors showed up. First the caterers, then the florists. Each one stopped dead at the smell, gagged, turned tail, and fled. I sipped coffee on the porch and grinned. The main event was still to come. By 8 a.m., Karen's family arrived. She stepped out, coral jacket, white hat, her face twisting as the scent hit. "Oh my God," she screamed. The bride froze, dress lifted, realizing it wasn't mud. The groom swore. Karen stormed toward me, heels sinking into the muck. "You animal, you ruined everything." I shrugged. "On the contrary, it all looks very natural to me." She threatened lawsuits, called for the sheriff. I held up my phone, video of her declaring my land community property now. Her own words. Her face turned from red to white to green. As if on cue, Sheriff Don rolled up. He took one look, barely hiding his grin. "Ma'am," he told Karen, "I suggest you and your guests leave before I start writing citations." She tried to argue. He shrugged. "It's his field. You have no permission, no agreement. Pack it up." She stomped away, right through a fresh pile. The sound her heel made, honestly, I wish I'd recorded that. The guests scattered, muttering, heels broken, suits stained. By noon, all that was left was a graveyard of ruined wedding dreams and the sweet smell of justice. But here's the kicker. Within days, the whole thing went viral. Someone filmed my manure mission, uploaded it with the title, "HOA Wedding Gone Wrong. Farmer Teaches Entitled Neighbors a Lesson." I was suddenly famous, reporters calling, radio hosts wanting interviews, folks from all over America sending messages about their own HOA nightmares. One guy from Texas said, "Buddy, you just wrote the playbook." The Maplewood Heights HOA imploded. Karen was voted out as president. Her own board fined her for public embarrassment. I framed the letter next to her old odor complaint. Seemed fitting. A week later, I got a lawsuit notice. Karen, of course, claiming emotional distress, environmental damage, the works. My lawyer laughed, so hard I thought he'd pass out. Turns out, there were too many videos of her trespassing, bragging, even moving my fence. Her lawyer dropped her like a hot potato. I could have countersued, but honestly, watching her get booted from her own fiefdom was enough. Here's the thing. If there's a lesson to be found, it's this: boundaries matter. Not just fences and fields, but the respect we owe each other. I didn't go looking for a fight. I just wanted what was mine left alone. But when someone pushes and pushes, you've got to stand your ground. My granddad used to say, quiet doesn't mean powerless. It means patient. And sometimes, patience needs a little help from Daisy and the John Deere. The farm's quiet again. Karen's house sold. Her HOA a little humbler. My grass grows greener than ever where that wedding stood. Folks say it's the extra nutrients. I like to think it's karma. So, let me leave you with this. Have you ever had to stand up to a Karen in your life? Where's the line between standing your ground and going too far? Drop your stories below. Let's hear about justice, boundaries, and all the little victories that make life worth living.